Okay, starting recording. So whenever you're ready.
Alright. Hello, and this is our group presentation for the Red Bull Soapbox project, presented by Alex Louch, Aidan Exton, and Lawrence Young.
So our team was tasked with creating promotional material for the Red Bull Soapbox event in London in 2020. As a team, we decided the best way to promote the event would be with a new advertisement for the TV. We decided we would try and make it appealing to our target audience and make people want to watch the event as it airs. We decided to make a short 3D animation in 3ds Max showing a race between cars from famous movies.
The idea development that we've had before we finalised our idea was we came up with a few different ideas and went back and forth with them before finalising. The first idea we had was to make sort of an 8-bit pixel type theme, where we would display 3D models of cars, but looking quite pixelated and quite old-fashioned, like old-style video games. But we decided that was good as that idea was in concept, it couldn't be taken through properly to a final project. The second idea we had was with cartoon cars, which would be extremely recognizable, iconic, easy to see and realize what they are and what they're from, with things like Mystery Machine from Scooby-Dooby-Doo or the Flintstones carts. But at the same time, although that was a good idea, we didn't feel like we could make that to the best of ability in a final project. And our third and final idea we thought of was before finalizing was wacky races, since those cars are very easy to recognize. They've been shown for between generations of parents showing their children it when they were younger, and just multiple different cars to choose from that we could each make to show in the animation. But we didn't we thought that some of the designs would be quite difficult to make as a to the extent and realism that we were trying to go for. So we thought it would be best to not do that idea and instead move on to our final idea, which was film cars. What brought us to this was that we all realized that if we were to choose a famous film or movie, it would be very iconic to a large. It would be very it would bring a large audience of people, whether that be for people who are car lovers and would recognize the cars from their time when they were out, or from other events of racing, or if you were a film lover, you would recognize the cars we've chose because of, oh, I know that film, and you would have might have watching it when you were younger, or your parents might have enjoyed it, and you would recognize it through nostalgia and be drawn into the advert. The cars we chose I've chosen to make a 1968 Ford Mustang Fastback, which is a very iconic car in both the car world and the film industry, as it was the main car for the main character in the film Bullitt, starring Steve McQueen, which has which is also now a very rare and classic car, as well as being the film itself has become a classic statement in the industry, as well as having one of the most famous car racing scenes in film.
I decided to make a 1999 Nissan Skyline. So it was like displayed in Fast and Furious 2, which was quite popular among our target audience.
Okay, my turn, is it? Okay. I picked the Aston Martin DB5 convertible. I chose this car because it's part of one of the famous films, James Bond. And the car is very easily recognised in the world today as we know it, because in a famous movie title. Yeah. Move on to the next slide.
So the research we all did on our cars is a bit different from each other. I went into the research of the car and the impact it's had, which we've all done, and I found out that the car they used in the film Bullitt was later sold in a charity auction, and because of how impactful this has been, it ended up selling for $4.3 million. And since that time, the Mustang has become known as a classic American muscle car, which has been sought after by lots of people for its iconic and how enjoyable it is to look at and ride.
Okay, so I researched my car. I found out, because it was part of the James Bond series, I found out there were two different versions of my car. There was the DB5 and then there was the DB5 convertible. One of them was from the film Goldfinger and the other one was from No Time to Die. The cars that are represented in media today, this car is very like vintage, old. You can like use it to drive around in a lot nowadays, and I picked it because it had two different cars, so I had two different choices of what type of car I wanted to do for my theme.
I mainly went into research in the role of the car in the film. Through that, I found that it was mainly driven by a street racer, which would, along with the body kit used in the car, would likely be more popular with the younger people in our target audience.
So here we've all put in our mood boards for the cars we've chosen, going into a little bit more detail of the impact they've had with the film and in general. So I've managed to find some pictures of the Mustang from the film as well as the poster and comparing it to the now modern day Mustang in the top left. And I know that the car that I will be making needs to have quite a dark emerald green color to be notified with the film and not just a standard Mustang.
Okay, this is my mood board of my Aston Martin DB5 and the convertible version, because I wanted to find both of them. When I was looking at it, a common colour for it is very like silver or metallic-y blue. And the one I think I'm going to use for my thing is the convertible one, because it fits with actual like racing cars from the Soapbox event as well. So it fits quite well. So that's the car I'll be choosing.
My mood board mainly focused on the Nissan Skyline, so it's my first choice. I also came up with the idea of a Mitsubishi Lancer, which was shown in the 1998 Jackie Chan movie Who Am I? I thought that would be a good option as it's quite an earlier car, so it would have fit better with the other two cars that Alex and Aiden chose. However, it wasn't really as recognizable as the Nissan Skyline, so I decided that would probably be a better idea. Our interactive element for this project will mainly be a website and QR codes. I personally am going to focus on the QR code side of things, and Aiden and Alex will help quite a lot with the main sort of layout of the website, things like that.
For our audio element, we've decided so that we can all do a part of it. We are going to make 3 unique audio plays throughout the length of our animation. The first one will be, which I will be doing, is going to be a race commentator who will be narrating the events of the adverts and giving context to the people watching the event, as well as going into a small bit of detail about the cars before we start off. The second audio which will be either Lawrence and Aidan. We're still finalising the smaller details. Will be car sound effects, and the idea for this is that we will that the person who is designated this role will look into the cars and find or recreate sound files of the car engines, of them revving the cars, changing gears, tires squealing as they come off the line. So just to make the car seem more realistic and bring the advert a bit more to life. And the third audio we'll be doing was special effects. So this will be a bit more simpler than the other two. It will be things like finding a starting horn to signify the beginning of the race, having background noises of people cheering as they would line the racetrack, having a crowd enjoy it, as well as a few other smaller details to make the animation more lively and enjoyable and entertaining for people watching it.
Okay, I've got the visuals. Okay. In the visual part of this is where we'll be making the actual advert for the webpage. So, what we have to do, each of us have to at least make one car and make it and put it on a turntable. But individually, one of us has to make the racetrack, right? One of us will have to animate it, and then one of us will have to actually put it into the actual website and make it all dandy. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Once we had decided exactly what we were making, we then came on to the designated roles, which were, as I'd been chosen as team leader, well, after speaking with each other, we decided that for car designer, like Aidan has said, we would all make one car each, the car we've chosen and researched, because we have a better understanding of them than other people would. Aidan has then volunteered himself to modelling and creating the racetrack in 3ds Max. So he will be doing a bit more research on the track and event in general to get a good understanding of where things need to be, how far the track is and the length, as well as a few other details to make sure it's as realistic as possible. Lawrence has then volunteered to do the animation of the animation part of the 3D model. So once we've all made our cars and the track, we will be sending Lawrence the files for them for him to then turn into an animation, as well as adding things like lighting effects as well as any other thing, like maybe a smoke effect for the cars to start off with, to make it as neat as possible before rendering and sending me the final file, where in my editing software I can then add the audio tracks to the animation, line them up perfectly to make before giving it one more final render and turning into a video aspect before adding it to the website, which we will all be taking part in parts where, as Lawrence said, he'll be focusing on researching the QR code parts of our website, whilst me and Aidan work together to make a nice layout for the website, is making sure it all works well, so we can all, and it works well with this presentation will be on it, the final animation and a few other small bits and bobs to make sure people understand properly what we are doing.
Okay, so we were doing our target audience. So what we found out for this target audience for spectators, so primary targets, would be teenagers to young adults. We also researched in the target audience for the people who will actually participate in the race would be like 18 or older. So yeah, by the targeting this age group, we're building a group of people who are reaching the appropriate age for the event, like participating and inviting others to enjoy. We also research what PEGI rating should be appropriate for this event, as you can see in the pictures we've provided.
So, whole point of this is to promote the event. We researched previous promotions for the Red Bull Soapbox events, and We couldn't really find any sort of advertisements at all, or at least any large-scale ones. So we hope that in creating one, it'll potentially bring more of an audience to the Soapbox event and potentially encourage more people to take part in it themselves.
And that is our presentation. We'd like to personally thank you for watching and listening to us, and we hope you look forward to seeing our final animation. Are there any questions for people?
No, I've not got anything. Does anybody else? Nope. Okay, thank you guys.
Thank you very much for listening to us.